We are trying to push ahead. We're really trying to maximize everything. And I was happy with the performances that we had. That's it. You close that chapter and you look ahead.
Most people are watching Red Bull's 2026 project the wrong way. They're looking for clues in bodywork, launch language, or rumors of hidden speed. But none of that explains what really matters. Here's what they're missing. 2026 isn't about whether Red Bull found a shortcut, it's about whether they removed their safety net entirely. And that matters most for Max Verstappen. By the end of this, you'll see why Red Bull's biggest risk could either elevate Verstappen into his most revealing era yet, or expose limits that dominance never required him to confront. This isn't just another regulation change. It's a test of identity itself. The question isn't whether Red Bull can win again. It's whether Verstappen can win differently without the machinery that made him untouchable, fighting on terms he's never truly faced before. Why 2026 is different from any Red Bull era. Red Bull has taken risks before, but never this one. For the first time in their history, they're entering a regulation reset with a fully in-house power unit. No Honda fallback, no customer engine option, no proven external benchmark to lean on if things go wrong. This isn't the optimized dominance they've grown accustomed to anymore. It's foundational uncertainty at the most critical level. That's a different pressure environment entirely, not just for the engineers designing and developing the power unit, but for the driver anchoring the entire system. The stakes have fundamentally changed, and with them, the margin for error has disappeared. What integration really means. On paper, integration sounds ideal. Designing engine and chassis as one unified system promises efficiency, packaging gains, and long-term upside. When it works, the performance ceiling is enormous, but integration removes hiding places. If the power unit underperforms, the chassis can't mask it. If cooling compromises arise, there's no external supplier to blame. If development stalls, the loop is closed internally. This increases performance variance, and variance is pressure. The tighter the integration, the more exposed every weakness becomes. Success demands excellence across every discipline simultaneously. There's nowhere to redistribute blame, no buffer between ambition and execution. Integration raises both the ceiling and the floor. How this changes Max's job. This is where the driver's role fundamentally shifts. In stable, well-balanced systems, drivers execute their craft within known limits and predictable parameters. However, in unstable systems, drivers transform into diagnostic tools for the engineering team. The quality of their feedback matters exponentially more. Error tolerance shrinks dramatically, and recovery speed becomes the decisive factor separating success from failure. When things don't work as expected, there's significantly less room to compensate through setup trends or strategic conservatism. Every single lap becomes a critical part of the development signal, feeding vital data back to the team. This is precisely the environment Max Verstappen has historically handled best, but it's also one that demands constant precision and unwavering focus. Why this isn't a comfortable bet, even for him, it's tempting to assume that risk automatically favors Max. But this isn't a comfortable version of difficulty. Leadership continuity has shifted. Technical hierarchy has been reshaped. Long-standing reference points are gone. That means fewer guarantees, less predictability, and a higher execution load on race weekends. Max isn't just racing rivals, he's stabilizing the system around him. Even for a driver who thrives under pressure, this is a heavier cognitive demand. The weight of uncertainty compounds with each decision. What once felt instinctive now requires constant recalibration. It's not about raw talent alone anymore. It's about managing variables that extend far beyond the cockpit itself. The exit clause, what it really represents. The existence of an exit clause has been widely misread. This isn't about preparing to leave. It's about formally acknowledging uncertainty. For the first time, Red Bull has structurally encoded risk into its relationship with Max Verstappen. That doesn't weaken commitment, it clarifies reality. What matters most is how Max reacts to this shift. He doesn't address it publicly. He doesn't posture or create drama. He doesn't seek reassurance from the team or the media. That silence is revealing. It tells you this clause isn't emotional leverage designed to extract concessions. It's operational honesty. It's a mature acknowledgement that circumstances change, and both parties understand that. This is how professionals manage uncertainty. Why Max stayed despite losing 2025. If Max were chasing safety, he wouldn't be here. He didn't stay because 2026 looks guaranteed or because Red Bull promised him an easy path forward. He stayed because the risk is explicit, not disguised. The rules are clear. The accountability is visible. Performance still defines outcomes. This aligns fundamentally with how he operates as a driver and competitor. Max doesn't need protection from failure or uncertainty. He needs clarity about what's expected and what he's working with. And Red Bull, for better or worse, has made uncertainty unavoidable. They've laid their cards on the table, shown him the challenges ahead, and trusted him to navigate through them. That transparency, even when the future is murky, creates the kind of environment where Max thrives. It's not comfort he's after. It's honesty about the fight ahead. The real advantage, if it exists at all. If Red Bull has an advantage in 2026, it won't be speed. It will be the type of system they're building, one that rewards adaptability over comfort, that prioritizes rapid correction over narrative stability, and where feedback loops are short and brutally honest. Most drivers struggle in that environment. Max doesn't. He processes pressure quickly, simplifies when chaos increases, and doesn't inflate errors emotionally. That's the only potential edge here, and it's not guaranteed to be enough. There's no pretending this is safe. Early engine deficits could linger, development bottlenecks could compress learning curves, and structural issues can't be driven around indefinitely. Even Max Verstappen can't compensate for fundamental failure. This is the part fans often ignore. Pressure tolerance doesn't equal invincibility. It just delays collapse. It doesn't prevent it. What this era will actually reveal. This is the core point. Red Bull's 2026 project won't tell us how fast Max Verstappen is. That's already known. It will show how he performs when the system around him offers no insulation, no legacy advantage, no technical safety net. This is pressure without cover. And that's when behavior becomes visible. At the beginning, it looked like a design story, or a power unit story, or a regulation story. It isn't. This is a pressure story. In Formula One, dominance hides pressure by smoothing everything out. 2026 removes that smoothing layer completely. And if history is any guide, that's where Max Verstappen doesn't disappear. That's where he becomes most visible. Not because success is guaranteed, but because pressure finally has nowhere else to go.